This wasn't supposed to be recorded. It wasn't supposed to leave my head. And it definitely wasn't supposed to be shared. But what happened in room 417 doesn't stay quiet anymore. It doesn't care about rules. It doesn't care about rank. And it doesn't care how expensive the building is. So listen carefully. Because if you ever find yourself checking into a hotel and they hesitate when you say a room number, leave. The hotel was called Meridian Crown. 5 stars. Glass walls. Marble floors. The kind of place where people believed nothing bad could happen. Celebrities stayed there, business executives. Politicians. It smelled like clean linen and polished wood. The lobby never slept. Music always played softly in the background. The staff smiled like nothing could ever touch them. That's why the first call felt wrong. Room 417. Guest complaint. Strange noises. Nothing serious. That was the official line. But the dispatcher's voice hesitated before she gave me the details. That hesitation mattered. When we arrived, the hallway was silent. Not normal hotel quiet. Empty quiet. No carts. No footsteps. No staff. Just carpet stretching down a long corridor that felt too still. The guest was waiting outside the room. Late 20s. Pale. Eyes wide like he hadn't blinked in a while. He said he heard knocking from inside the walls. Not pipes. Not mechanical sounds. Knocking, with rhythm. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Over and over. When we unlocked the door, the sound stopped. The room looked untouched. Bed neat. Lights off. Curtains half closed. Nothing broken. Nothing moved. But the air felt heavy. Thick. Like a storm waiting indoors. We dismissed it as stress. Moved the guest to another floor, filed the report. That should have been the end. It wasn't. 2 days later, room 417 was empty again. Another guest checked in. This time, security called us. Not because of noise. Because of silence. The guest wasn't answering the door. No response to calls. No movement detected. We entered. The man was sitting on the edge of the bed. Alive. Breathing. But his eyes were open and empty like someone had left him behind. He whispered one sentence before collapsing. It asked me to stay. That sentence never made it into the report. They said it was exhaustion. A mental episode. Hotel stress. But something had changed. Housekeeping stopped volunteering to clean that room. Maintenance delayed repairs on that floor. Security started watching the cameras without being told. Room 417 was becoming a problem. And problems don't exist in luxury hotels. They get hidden. The next incident was the one they erased. A woman stayed in room 417 for a conference. Checked in smiling. Called her husband. Said the room was beautiful. At 3:14 a.m., she called the front desk. Not screaming. Whispering. She said someone was standing near the window. When staff arrived, she was gone. No forced entry. No broken glass. No sign of struggle. Just her phone lying on the bed. Still connected to the front desk. The call recording vanished within hours. That's when I stopped believing this was human. You can hide crimes. You can bury mistakes. But you can't erase patterns. Room 417 had rhythm. Guests stayed 1 night. 2 at most. Something spoke to them. Something invited them. Not violently. Not loudly. Politely. Security footage started failing only on that floor. Only at night. Only around the same time. 3:14 a.m. Every time. The hotel blamed software errors. We were told to stop investigating. That was the order. I didn't listen. I stood outside room 417 alone one night. No uniform. No badge. Just me and a door that felt like it was breathing. And I heard it. Not knocking. Not scratching. Whispering. Soft. Slow. Like someone practicing how to sound human. This is where I stopped being an officer. And started being a witness. Room 417 doesn't trap people. It invites them. It offers comfort. Privacy. Rest. It asks quietly. And some people say yes. I didn't go back to the hotel because I was brave. I went back because once you hear something like that, you stop feeling safe anywhere else. You start thinking if it can exist there, in a place full of cameras and guards and light, then it can exist anywhere. The Meridian Crown was still busy. Still perfect. Still pretending. People laughed in the lobby. Valets opened doors. Music played softly. No one knew they were walking over a room that had started choosing people. I asked for the maintenance logs. Officially, I wasn't allowed to. Unofficially, someone slid the folder across the desk without looking at me. Room 417 had more service requests than any other room on that floor. Not broken things. Not damage. Complaints. Room feels colder than others. Strange smell. Air feels heavy. Hard to sleep. One note was handwritten. Guest asked if room had a past. Would not explain. That line was crossed out. I talked to a housekeeper who had worked there since the hotel opened. She wouldn't meet me in the building. We stood outside, across the street. She said room 417 wasn't always a guest room. Before the Meridian Crown, the building was an older structure. An unfinished hospital project. Never opened. Never approved. Construction stopped suddenly decades ago. No one talks about why. When the hotel was built, they didn't tear everything down. They built on top of it. Room 417 sat exactly where one of the old lower wards used to be. That mattered. The whispers weren't random. They weren't new. They were old. Another guest checked into 417 while I was still investigating. Young man. Travel blogger. Stayed late uploading content. At 3:14 a.m., he posted one final message. Anyone else hear someone breathing in their room? He never checked out. The hotel said he left early. No luggage found. No footage of him exiting. Just another gap in the record. I asked to see the old architectural plans. Not the hotels. The original ones. Most were missing. Some had burn marks. One floor was completely scratched out. Not erased. Scratched. Like someone didn't want it remembered. Room 417 sat directly above a sealed section that no one could access anymore. Something underneath it still existed. I went back to the hallway. This time, the carpet felt warmer. Not comforting warm. Body warm. I placed my hand on the door. It vibrated slightly. Like distant movement. Like something shifting below. And then the whispering started again. Clearer than before. Not words. Not language. But intention. It wasn't trying to scare me. It was trying to introduce itself. That was when I realized something worse. Room 417 didn't belong to the hotel. The hotel belonged to it. They built luxury around something that had already claimed its space. And now it was learning how to live among people. Quietly. Patiently. I left that night knowing something had changed. Not in the hotel. In the city. If it could survive there, hidden under glass and marble and money, then it didn't need abandoned places anymore. It had learned how to hide in crowds. And the worst part? The hotel is still open. Still taking bookings. Still assigning room 417. They didn't close the case, they buried it. But it's still active. Because something inside that room is still asking people to stay. And eventually, someone will say yes again.